The sky shattered. One moment it had been a normal, quiet morning. Birds glided over empty highways and sunlight danced across glass towers. The next, darkness swallowed the horizon. Colossal shapes descended, vast enough to blot out entire cities. Shadows stretched like living fingers and an eerie hum thrummed through the air, vibrating in bones and teeth alike. In New York, windows shattered from the pressure waves. People spilled into streets staring upward in disbelief. Their eyes reflected shifting green lights across the alien hulls, surfaces like liquid metal, constantly reshaping and pulsating. No one had ever seen anything move that way. Had anything. That massive hover silently overhead. Panic spread faster than the wind. Screams, sirens, and the clamor of engines filled the air. Captain Elias Storm, a battle-hardened veteran of countless crises, stood on the rooftop of a crumbling building. Binoculars pressed to his eyes. His jaw tightened. "They're not here to negotiate," he muttered. The formation was methodical, deliberate. No mistake. Each ship radiated menace, as if the sky itself had become a weapon. Below, civilians fled, tripping over debris, clutching, children and pets, desperate to escape the shadows of steel giants. Military units scrambled, but how do you fight against creatures who arrived unannounced, armed with weapons humanity had no knowledge of? The answer didn't come easily. The only option was to survive, to buy time. Then the first strike landed. Massive column of green energy erupted from one of the ships. It sliced through the financial district like a blade, tearing concrete and steel as though they were paper. Cars exploded, glass rained down, and a cloud of smoke and ash turned the streets into a hellish canyon. Those who hadn't been vaporized fled blindly, coughing, eyes watering. The sound was deafening, a roar that seemed to shake the earth itself. Elias barked orders into his radio, voice cutting through chaos. "Hold your positions. Evacuate civilians. Keep moving." Soldiers scrambled, but the alien forces were already descending. Smaller scout ships, insect-like, darted between buildings, scanning, probing, attacking. Humans were prey. Yet humanity's instinct was not to bow. In alleys, on rooftops, and in the subway tunnels, people fought back. A janitor armed with only a wrench slammed it into the control panel of a scout drone. Sparks flew. The drone whirred and tumbled into a burning car, short-circuiting and exploding. Small victories, insignificant in scale, but monumental in courage. The aliens paused, scanning the unexpected resistance. Elias knew that this moment, this first contact, would define everything. If humanity cowered now, the species would be crushed beneath these unearthly invaders. But humans did not yield. Humans adapted, resisted, and survived. He glanced at the skyline, burning, chaotic, and thought, "They may have steel and fire, but we have something they can't calculate. We fight." Above, the alien command vessel shifted, sending a wave of energy that knocked down buildings, turning streets into rivers of molten glass. Elias ducked behind a half-collapsed wall, ears ringing, heart hammering. Around him, soldiers and civilians alike scrambled for cover. The world had become a hunting ground and humanity the prey. Then, in the midst of destruction, he noticed something remarkable. Small clusters of humans were rallying others. Civilians were forming defensive lines, tossing makeshift explosives, firing scavenged weapons. Fear burned in their eyes, yes, but underneath it an unbroken will. Every fallen building became cover, every street corner a potential advantage. A scream echoed nearby. A child cried for a parent who would never return. Pain. Loss. Yet, in the same breath, a soldier pulled another from debris, shielding them with his own body. Elias saw the truth. Humanity was terrified but unyielding. As the alien ships pulsed overhead, Elias lifted his binoculars, taking a slow, deliberate breath. "We fight," he said, low and steady, "no matter the cost." The sun struggled to pierce the shadows, but even in this darkness a single truth shone. Humanity's spirit could not be extinguished. Moral, courage begins with standing up, Even when fear dominates, humanity's strength is not in its technology, but in its unbroken will. The forest was alive with whispers. Not the gentle rustle of leaves, but the harsh crackle of alien energy slicing through trees. Smoke curled upward, carrying the acrid scent of burning wood and ozone. Captain Elias Storm led his platoon through the undergrowth, hearts pounding, muscles coiled like springs. Every shadow could hide death, every movement, a predator. The aliens had moved faster than intelligence agencies had predicted. Scouting drones scuttled along branches like metallic insects, scanning for heat signatures, scanning for life. Their green pulses illuminated the trunks, painting the forest in eerie, unnatural light. A single misstep, a careless breath, and they could be torn apart in seconds. Stay low. Move silent, Elias whispered, voice tight with tension. Around him, soldiers mirrored his movements, crouching behind thick roots and fallen logs. They were armed with standard rifles, scavenged explosives, and nerves of steel. But against these invaders, steel alone would not suffice. Ahead, a squad of aliens emerged. Their limbs were long, jointed in ways that made human anatomy look fragile and clumsy. Their eyes glowed with an unnatural intelligence, scanning, calculating. One raised its weapon, a shimmering pulse cannon, and fired. Trees exploded around it, splinters tearing through the air like shards of glass. Elias didn't hesitate. He shouted a signal and the humans sprang from cover. The first wave was chaos, rifles cracking, grenades hissing. One soldier dove sideways, barely avoiding a pulse blast that vaporized a tree beside him. Another lobbed a makeshift incendiary device, igniting a patch of dry underbrush. Fire flared, smoke rolling in thick waves, creating both cover and danger. The aliens faltered, unaccustomed to this level of improvisation. They could calculate strategy, predict formation, anticipate weapon range, but humans were unpredictable. They didn't fight like machines. They fought like desperation made flesh. A human soldier darted from tree to tree, slamming a captured alien device into the side of an enemy drone. Sparks erupted, wires melted, and the drone crashed into the undergrowth. Elias felt a flicker of triumph, but knew the cost was coming. From the tree line, another alien squad emerged. This one was larger, faster, moving with precision. Bullets pinged off their carapaces, ricocheting into trunks. Trees shattered under pulse fire, splinters raining down like deadly hail. The humans' positions were compromised. Every instinct screamed retreat, but Elias had a different plan. Divide and funnel them, he yelled. Push them into the ravine. The soldiers obeyed, ducking behind fallen trunks, leaping over roots, moving as one living entity. The aliens advanced unaware of the trap, their heavy steps shaking the ground. Elias's pulse hammered. One wrong move, one misfire, and the entire platoon could be annihilated. The ravine came into view. Smoke blurred its edges, fire licking the sides. With a coordinated effort, humans opened fire from both flanks. Pulse beams struck the rocks, sending showers of debris into alien ranks. Confused, exposed, the aliens faltered. Elias's gamble was paying off. Then, a shrill mechanical screech cut through the air. A massive drone descended, its size dwarfing any human-made vehicle. Pulse cannons spun, sweeping the battlefield. Soldiers fell back, hurling grenades, firing rifles, hearts hammering with desperation. Elias's mind raced. Retreat would be death. But standing still meant the same. He sprinted forward, dodging debris, and reached a boulder overlooking the ravine. A captured alien launcher rested in his hands, jury-rigged with human ingenuity. Taking a deep breath, he aimed and fired. The missile arced high, striking the massive drone squarely. Explosion engulfed it in green fire, cascading debris into the river below. Silence fell, for a heartbeat. Smoke swirled, the smell of burned metal and earth heavy in the air. The remaining aliens paused, analyzing the humans with a mix of frustration and curiosity. They had underestimated them. They had misjudged human unpredictability. Elias dropped to one knee, scanning the survivors. Soldiers were bleeding, clothes torn, faces streaked with soot and grime. Civilians, guided by resistance fighters, were already emerging from hiding, carrying supplies, tending to the wounded. Humanity had won this small battle, but the war was far from over. "Remember this," Elias said quietly, voice steady despite exhaustion. "They may have weapons we cannot imagine. They may move faster, strike harder. But we have one advantage. They cannot calculate our will to survive, our courage, and our refusal to surrender." The forest was scarred, smoking, and partially destroyed, but the humans had endured. Against impossible odds, they had turned terror into opportunity, fear into action. The aliens would learn quickly that humanity did not bow. Humanity fought. And humanity would endure. Moral, bravery, and ingenuity make humans unpredictable, and unpredictability is a weapon no alien force can fully calculate. The city was unrecognizable. Smoke choked the streets, and a crimson glow painted crumbling skyscrapers. Sirens wailed from fractured speakers, their echoes swallowed by the chaos. From the air, alien drones swept like predatory insects, scanning every street, every alley, every shadow. The battlefield had shifted. This was no longer a forest or a front line. It was the heart of humanity itself, burning and trembling under alien dominance. Captain Elias Storm moved through the rubble with a small group of survivors. His boots crunched over shattered glass and twisted metal. Behind him, civilians carried the wounded, their eyes wide with terror and determination. Every step was uncertain. Every sound could herald death. Above, alien ships hovered, massive and unrelenting. Energy beams carved through buildings with surgical precision. Entire blocks collapsed into clouds of dust, and the screams of the trapped mingled with the mechanical hum of the invaders. Humanity was on the brink, but still, it refused to break. Elias crouched behind a fallen streetlight, surveying the chaos. "Split up into cells," he instructed the soldiers. "Hit them from unexpected angles. Protect civilians at all costs. Don't give them a reason to underestimate us." His voice was calm, though the tension in his jaw betrayed the stakes. In an alley not 50 meters away, a young woman, barely 18, crouched behind a toppled dumpster. She clutched a stolen pulse rifle, hands shaking. Two alien scouts approached, their armor glinting under the fire's reflection. Every instinct screamed to run, but she remembered the faces of those she'd saved, the children huddled in basements. She raised the rifle, took aim, and fired. One went down, a precise shot through its glowing chest cavity. The other recoiled, confused, unprepared for human audacity. Elsewhere, an engineer used jury-rigged explosives to collapse a partially destroyed bridge, cutting off a squad of advancing aliens. Sparks flew. Fire blossomed. The aliens screeched, retreating momentarily from the chaos. Each act of defiance, small or large, sent a clear message. Humanity would not yield. But the victory was fleeting. From the shattered skyline, a shadow emerged, the alien command unit. Towering and angular, it moved with mechanical precision, its sensors scanning. A pulse cannon charged, illuminating the street below. Civilians froze, soldiers braced. One strike would flatten the block, erase, lives and shatter morale. Elias made a snap decision. Diversion team now. A group of resistance fighters surged from the side streets, throwing smoke grenades and firing improvised explosives. The aliens hesitated, their scanning disrupted. The command unit pivoted, recalculating, but the humans pressed forward. Every movement a calculated gamble. Through shattered windows and smoking corridors, humans struck with guerrilla precision. They ducked, rolled, and fired, moving as shadows themselves. One soldier leaped from a roof, landing on the back of a retreating alien scout, tearing wires and cracking metal. The aliens had never faced this kind of unpredictability before. Yet, for every alien felled, a human fell in return. Blood-soaked concrete painting streaks across rubble. A child screamed from a collapsed building. A mother shielded her young, clutching them like a talisman. The city's cries were relentless, a chorus of terror and resolve intertwined. Elias felt the weight of each loss, but also the spark of defiance that refused to die. He turned to the surviving civilians. We may lose streets, we may lose buildings, but we will not lose hope. Every life we save, every strike we make, it reminds them, reminds everyone, that humanity refuses to bow. Hours passed like minutes. The city smoldered, but resistance persisted. Small victories stacked against the impossible, and humans adapted with astonishing speed. They learned to anticipate alien tactics, setting traps, exploiting blind spots, and using the ruined environment to their advantage. As night fell, a tense silence settled over the battlefield. Fires still burned, and the smoke hung thick. The aliens had retreated, regrouping for the next wave. But humanity had survived this day. Every survivor carried scars, yes, but also the knowledge that fear could be turned into power. That ingenuity and courage could hold back forces that seemed unstoppable. Elias looked out over the skyline, broken and blackened, and whispered, "We're still here. They may control the sky, but we own our will." Moral. True strength emerges through persistence even after devastating loss. Humanity's resilience is its greatest weapon, forged in ashes yet unbroken by fire. Night had draped the city in darkness, but the glow of fires and alien lights painted the streets in surreal shades of green and orange. Shadows danced across crumbling walls, and smoke twisted like serpents through broken avenues. Humanity had survived the initial assault, but survival alone was not enough. Elias knew they had to strike back. Inside a makeshift command center beneath the ruins of a collapsed skyscraper, engineers and soldiers worked feverishly. Pieces of alien drones littered the floor, twisted metal, glowing circuits, and fragments of unknown alloys. Sparks flew as human hands rewired the alien tech, melding it with scavenged human weaponry. Every device, every modification, was a gamble. Alien technology was precise and lethal, yet human ingenuity had a spark no algorithm could predict. "Power regulators are unstable," muttered Lieutenant Mara Chen, adjusting a glowing alien panel. "If this overloads, it could fry the whole system." Elias nodded, voice low and commanding. "Then we make sure it doesn't. Humanity survives on ingenuity and guts. Not just steel, not just fire. We turn their tools into our weapons." Outside, the city was a labyrinth of fire and shadow. The aliens patrolled in squads, scanning for any signs of human life. Drones hovered above like spectral hunters, their green beams slicing through smoke and darkness. A single mistake would mean death. Every footstep, every breath was measured, calculated, but the humans adapted, moving like ghosts through the ruins, vanishing before the aliens could strike. A young technician, barely 16, tapped into a salvaged drone's interface. Screens flickered, circuitry hummed. Within minutes, the drone was rewritten, repurposed, and ready to act under human command. Elias watched with admiration. Humanity's brilliance wasn't just in bravery, it was in ingenuity, the ability to turn fear into an advantage. Suddenly, alarms blared. A squad of alien hunters had entered the underground tunnels. Pulse beams lanced through the dark, scorching walls and igniting debris. Humans ducked, rolled, and countered, improvising with every scrap of technology they could. Weaponize. One soldier hurled an alien energy cell into a narrow corridor. It detonated with a blinding flash, sending the invaders tumbling backward, disoriented. Elias led the charge, rifle in hand, his team following like shadows. Every step was a dance with death. Explosions shook the tunnels. Sparks flew. Smoke burned eyes and lungs. Yet through the chaos, a singular determination drove them forward. They would not break. In the midst of the battle, a larger drone descended through a gaping hole in the ceiling. It was a behemoth, its pulse cannons spinning, energy coalescing into deadly arcs. The humans froze, calculating. Retreat meant death. Stand and fight. Death seemed equally likely. Then Elias spotted it. A vulnerable panel exposed at the base of the drone. "Chen, fire the modified launcher, now!" he shouted. The technician activated the repurposed weapon. Energy surged, mixing human innovation with captured alien tech. A beam lanced out, striking the drone's exposed circuitry. Sparks erupted, metal twisted, and with a deafening screech, the drone collapsed, sliding across the floor in a twisted heap. Silence fell. The smoke swirled around them, punctuated by the crackle of dying fires. Humans stared at the fallen alien machinery, chests heaving, sweat and soot coating their faces. They had turned terror into triumph, improvisation into survival. Elias lowered, his weapon looking around at his team. Every face was streaked with grime, fear, and exhaustion, but also with the unmistakable light of defiance. Humanity had struck a blow, small but significant, against a foe that had seemed unstoppable. "Remember this," Elias said, voice echoing through the tunnels. "They may think they own the sky, the cities, the world, but they cannot own our will. Every device we salvage, every tactic we invent is a message. Humanity fights back. Always." The night stretched on, heavy with the hum of alien machinery and the quiet murmur of human preparation. The battle was far from over, but hope had been rekindled. The survivors had tasted victory, not complete, but enough to ignite a spark that no invader could snuff out. Above the ruins, the alien command units shifted, sensing the unexpected resilience below. They would return, stronger, faster, more relentless, but humanity was ready. Humanity's weapon was not just fire or steel. It was creativity, courage, and an unbroken spirit that refused to bow. Moral: humanity's greatest weapon is ingenuity. When faced with overwhelming odds, courage and creativity turn fear into defiance and survival into victory. Dawn broke over the city, painting the ruins in blood-orange light. Smoke still curled from collapsed buildings, and the acrid scent of scorched metal lingered in the air. The streets were littered with remnants of the previous night's chaos, burned out. Alien drones, twisted vehicles, and the occasional glint of human weaponry scavenged and repurposed. Yet the city was alive, pulsing with an unmistakable heartbeat: defiance. Captain Elias Storm stood atop a shattered overpass, surveying the battlefield below. Alien command units moved through the streets like predatory titans, their pulse cannons glowing ominously. Every corner hid danger, every alley could be a death trap. But Elias's eyes were not filled with fear. They were sharp, calculating, and burning with determination. Humanity would not falter here. "Positions!" he barked to his team, voice cutting through the chaos. Soldiers scattered, taking cover behind debris, improvising barricades and setting traps. Civilians moved with them, guided and protected by human ingenuity. From the air, alien drones hovered, scanning. But each move was countered by clever diversions: mirrors reflecting laser beams, smoke bombs obscuring vision, and hacked drones feeding false data to their own forces. Elias motioned to Lieutenant Mara Chen. "Deploy the modified pulse cannons, time to turn their own tech against them." Chen activated the devices. Alien machinery whined and sputtered, then responded to the human-controlled commands. A squadron of drones shifted mid-flight, firing at their own ranks in confusion. Chaos erupted among the invaders, their precision, their superior technology. It faltered against human unpredictability. In the streets below, Sergeant Rico Cade led a squad of resistance fighters through the ruins, each movement fluid, instinctive. Explosions rocked the city, sending walls crumbling and clouds of dust into the air. Rico vaulted over a shattered vehicle, firing his pulse rifle at an alien squad advancing through the debris. Sparks and smoke mixed with sunlight, creating a surreal battlefield where every step could be the last, but every strike carried purpose. Suddenly, a massive alien walker emerged from the main boulevard, its armor glinting under the rising sun. It stomped forward, crushing cars and scattering barricades, its pulse cannon charging with lethal precision. Civilians screamed and scattered. Soldiers readied themselves. Elias clenched his fists. This was the moment that would define them. Everyone. "Target the legs," he commanded. "Bring it down and we take the fight to their command unit." Engineers fired repurposed explosives at the walker's joints, Pulse cannons from human-controlled drones struck simultaneously. Sparks flew, metal twisted, the walker staggered, smoke hissing from ruptured circuits. Elias led the final charge, leaping over rubble, firing relentlessly. With a deafening roar, the walker collapsed, sending tremors through the streets. The humans cheered briefly, then regrouped. There was no time to celebrate. From the shadows, alien reinforcements poured into the city. Their energy blades cut through barricades. Their pulse rifles fired in disciplined volleys. But humanity had adapted. Soldiers ducked and rolled, improvised shields absorbing blasts. Civilians guided explosives to collapse narrow alleys behind the invaders. Every strike was calculated, precise, and relentless. Amid the chaos, Elias spotted the alien command unit in the central plaza, towering and imposing. It moved with inhuman precision, its sensors sweeping across the battlefield. To reach it, humans would have to fight through waves of elite guards. But Elias smiled grimly. This was the crucible. This was what separated survivors from legends. "Forward," he shouted. "We are not prey. We are humanity. Blood, steel, and unbroken will. Remember that." They surged forward as one, a wave of defiance against impossible odds. Explosions lit the streets, smoke swirled, and screams of battle echoed across the city. Humans fell, aliens fell, but every step brought them closer to the command unit. Each strike carried a message. Humanity would not bow, would not break, and would never surrender. For every alien advance, there was a human counter. For every pulse cannon fired, there was a clever trap or repurposed weapon. Every death hardened their resolve. Every victory sparked hope. Humanity was forging itself in the crucible of steel, blood, and fire. And above it all, Elias knew one truth. The battle was far from over, but they had proven one undeniable fact. Humanity was relentless. Humanity was unbroken, and no alien force, no matter how advanced, could extinguish the fire of their will. Moral: in the face of insurmountable odds, courage, ingenuity, and unbroken will can transform despair into victory. Humanity's strength lies not only in weapons, but in relentless spirit. The city trembled under the thunder of relentless conflict. Buildings swayed, fires roared, and smoke twisted into the sky like phantom fingers clawing at the sun. The streets had become a maze of debris, and every step carried danger. Alien forces advanced with terrifying precision, yet humanity refused to yield. Captain Elias Storm crouched behind a crumbling overpass, surveying the chaos. The alien command unit loomed ahead, a towering, pulsating structure of metal and energy, bristling with weaponry. Its sensors swept the battlefield, seeking the humans who had so audaciously defied them. Elias's jaw tightened. This was the heart of the enemy, the core of their control. And if it fell, the tide could turn. "Chen," he called, pointing to the network of modified drones buzzing overhead. "We're going to hit its systems, overload every sensor, every weapon port, make it vulnerable." The lieutenant's fingers flew across the interface, sweat and grime streaking her face. Sparks leapt from the alien circuitry as the drones hacked and destabilized the command unit's core. Energy pulses flickered erratically, sending shudders through the massive structure. But the aliens were not passive. Automated defenses activated, firing laser grids and repulsor blasts in perfect arcs. "Move," Elias barked. "Forward. Every second counts." Through the inferno of smoke and fire, human squads surged. Pulse rifles lit the streets in staccato bursts of light. Explosions erupted as improvised bombs tore through barricades, sending aliens sprawling. Civilians ran alongside soldiers carrying weapons, relaying commands, improvising like seasoned warriors. Humanity's chaotic ingenuity clashed with the alien precision in a violent ballet of survival. Suddenly, a massive energy cannon emerged from the command unit. Its pulse rippled through the air, obliterating a block of buildings with a deafening roar. Dust and rubble flew like a storm. Human squads dove for cover, some pinned beneath wreckage. Yet amidst the destruction, Elias's voice cut through. "The chaos, we adapt, we survive, we strike where they least expect it." He sprinted through the ruins with a small team, dodging shards of metal and arcs of alien energy. Ahead, an exposed conduit glowed violently, a vulnerability in the alien command unit's armor. Sergeant Rico Cade vaulted over a fallen drone, planting explosives along the conduit with a precision born from desperation and ingenuity. "Elias, now!" Rico shouted, triggering the detonator. The explosion tore through the conduit, sending sparks cascading across the plaza. The command unit shuddered violently, its pulse cannon sputtering and its sensors blinking erratically. Alien guards rushed to protect it, but human drones, repurposed and deadly, tore through their ranks. The battlefield erupted into chaos. Amidst the turmoil, Elias fought with relentless precision. His pulse rifle sang, each shot calculated. His team moved as extensions of his will, taking advantage of every opening the aliens left. Civilians and soldiers alike fought side by side, their courage amplifying the human resolve. The command unit, staggering from the damage, attempted a retaliatory strike. Energy arcs shot toward the humans, carving devastation into the streets. But the humans had anticipated this. They redirected hacked drones to intercept and improvised shields, absorb the brunt of the attack. Sparks, fire, and smoke enveloped the plaza, but the humans pressed forward, unyielding. Finally, Elias and his team reached the base of the alien structure. Pulse rifles fired at exposed circuits. Grenades exploded along vulnerable seams. The command unit groaned, sparks flying, metal cracking. With one final surge, Elias planted the last explosive, the detonation reverberating through the plaza like a heartbeat of defiance. The alien command unit collapsed in a shower of molten metal and energy, sending a shockwave across the city. Aliens staggered, disoriented, and leaderless. Humanity had struck the decisive blow. For a moment, silence fell over the ruins, punctuated only by the crackle of fires and the hum of dying alien machinery. Elias stood atop the rubble, chest heaving, eyes scanning the horizon. His team gathered around, battered but unbroken. They had survived impossible odds, turned alien precision against itself, and struck at the very heart of their enemy. Humanity had proven once again that its strength lay not just in weapons but in ingenuity, courage, and unbroken will. Moral: true strength emerges not from power alone but from courage, creativity, and the unyielding resolve to face insurmountable odds. Humanity thrives when it dares to challenge the impossible. The city's ruins were silent but for the distant hum of dying alien machinery. Fires smoldered in the shadows, casting flickering light over the scarred streets. Humanity had struck the alien command unit down, yet the battle was far from over. The remaining alien forces were cornered, but cornered predators were the most dangerous. Captain Elias Storm moved cautiously through the rubble-strewn streets, pulse rifle at the ready. His team followed closely, scanning every alley, every shattered doorway. Each movement could trigger a hidden ambush. The aliens were adaptive, relentless, and they knew that survival meant striking back with everything they had left. Intel suggests a concentrated force is regrouping in the lower tunnels, Lieutenant Mara Chen reported, her voice tense through the comlink. They're trying to escape or reinforce. Either way, we intercept or they rebuild. Elias's eyes narrowed. Then we meet them on our terms. No surprises, no retreats. Humanity doesn't bend. They descended into the tunnels. The air, thick with dust and the faint, acrid smell of alien energy residue. Shadows danced along the walls, and distant clanging echoed like the footsteps of ghosts. Each step forward carried the weight of mortality, yet every heartbeat was defiance. Suddenly, the tunnel erupted in blinding light. Alien pulse grenades detonated, sending shockwaves through the corridor. Elias dove for cover, feeling the heat ripple across his face. Soldiers around him returned fire, sparks flying as alien armor twisted under the impact. Civilians and engineers scrambled behind reinforced barriers, helping medics evacuate the wounded. The fight was brutal, claustrophobic, unforgiving. But the humans refused to yield. From the shadows, an alien commander emerged, a towering figure cloaked in energy armor, eyes glowing like molten cores. Its blade shimmered with lethal intent. Humans, You are obsolete, it hissed, voice mechanical yet dripping with malice. Elias gritted his teeth. Obsolete? That's funny, coming from someone about to learn what humans are capable of. The clash was instantaneous. Steel and energy collided with a resounding roar. Elias ducked under a swipe of the alien blade, rolling into cover, returning fire with calculated precision. Around him, his team engaged with disciplined ferocity. Every shot, every strike was a balance of instinct and ingenuity, honed through relentless struggle. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Chen manipulated the environment, activating hacked energy nodes along the tunnel walls. Sparks arced, corridors shifted, and the aliens found themselves navigating a lethal maze of their own making. Explosions rocked the tunnels as Rico Cade and his squad laid traps, collapsing sections to block reinforcements. Elias pressed forward, closing the distance with the alien commander. Sparks and smoke shrouded them, each strike illuminating the chaos around them. Humans fell, aliens fell, yet each warrior's determination pushed the fight forward. This was no longer just a battle. It was a crucible, testing the limits of endurance, willpower, and strategy. The alien commander swung again, a strike meant to cleave through Elias. But he anticipated it, sidestepping, and drove a pulse blade into the command unit's armor joint. Energy arced violently, circuits frying. The alien staggered, the roar of its rage echoing through the tunnels. Now, Elias shouted. Engineers detonated explosives strategically placed along the alien stronghold. The tunnel shook violently. Dust and fire erupted, sending aliens tumbling and disoriented. The humans pressed the advantage, relentless, unyielding. Every push forward carried the message that no force, no matter how advanced, could break human will. Finally, the alien commander fell, a shower of sparks marking its defeat. The remaining alien forces, leaderless and disoriented, retreated into the darkness, their precision shattered by human ingenuity. Silence reclaimed the tunnels, broken only by heavy breathing and distant cries of survivors. Elias lowered his weapon, scanning the dim corridor. His team gathered, battered but unbroken. Humanity had faced annihilation and survived. They had stared into the edge of extinction and refused to step back. Their strength was not in technology alone, but in courage, creativity, and unbroken will. Moral: even at the brink of annihilation, resolve, ingenuity, and unity can transform hopelessness into triumph. Humanity survives and thrives through courage that refuses to surrender. The dawn after the battle broke like a fragile promise. Smoke still curled over the city's skeleton, twisted metal gleaming in the pale sunlight. Silence was almost deafening, interrupted only by distant cries of the wounded and the occasional collapse of unstable structures. Humanity had survived, but victory had come at a cost. Captain Elias Storm moved through the streets, surveying the aftermath. Soldiers assisted civilians, extinguishing fires, clearing debris, and helping the injured. Every step revealed the staggering toll: scorched buildings, overturned vehicles, and the scars of a relentless war. Yet, amid the devastation, a spark of pride burned in every survivor's eyes. Humanity had endured what seemed insurmountable. Humanity had won. Commander Storm, Lieutenant Mara Chen said, voice tinged with exhaustion yet unwavering, the alien remnants are retreating. Their fleet, they're scattering. They won't regroup quickly. Elias nodded, his eyes scanning the horizon. The alien threat had been formidable, precise, and relentless. Yet human ingenuity, courage, and unbroken will had turned the tide. This was more than survival. It was a statement. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was a force. In the central plaza, the remnants of the alien command unit smoldered. Sparks drifted skyward, smoke curling like silent witnesses to the human triumph. Engineers and soldiers carefully dismantled the remains, studying the alien technology. Each discovery was a lesson, a key to strengthening humanity against future threats. Knowledge and resilience intertwined. Rico Cade approached Elias carrying a young civilian girl who had been trapped under rubble. Her eyes were wide, reflecting both fear and awe. "She'll be all right," Rico said. "Thanks to everyone here." Elias smiled faintly, the weight of command pressing on his shoulders. "No, Rico. Thanks to everyone. Every soldier, every civilian, every hand that refused to let fear win. This is what humanity is, unbroken, unyielding, and unstoppable when it stands together." From the rubble, cheers began to rise, quiet at first, then swelling into a roar that echoed across the city. Survivors lifted each other from the debris. Soldiers clasped hands, embracing strangers who had fought beside them. Humanity's heartbeat pulsed through the ruins, not in the machines, not in the weapons, but in courage, resilience, and the unshakable will to survive. Even as the alien threat faded into the void, humanity remained vigilant. Patrols scanned the skies, engineers reinforced structures, and leaders coordinated recovery. Victory was not careless celebration. It was preparation, foresight, and determination. Humans knew the galaxy would remember them not for surrender, but for endurance and ingenuity. Elias stood atop the central plaza, surveying the city that had been both battlefield and proving ground. "Today we showed them what it means to face humanity," he said quietly, almost to himself. "Blood, steel, and unbroken will, that is who we are." Lieutenant Chen approached, her expression a mixture of exhaustion and awe. "Captain, do you think they'll come back?" Elias shook his head, a resolute gleam in his eyes. "They may. But we've changed the rules of engagement. Any who come will know humanity is not just a species. They are a reckoning." Above them, the sky cleared, revealing the pale blue of a resilient world. Smoke drifted upward, yet sunlight illuminated the devastation with a soft, forgiving glow. Humanity had been tested in fire, forged in steel, and had emerged victorious. Every scar, every loss, every triumph was a testament to their unbroken spirit. The survivors began rebuilding, their actions a living message to the galaxy. Humanity would endure. Humanity would rise. And in every street cleared, every structure repaired, and every hand extended to help another, the unassailable truth remained. No matter the odds, no matter the foe, humans would never yield. Moral, true victory lies not in domination but in resilience, unity, and the relentless will to overcome. Humanity's strength is eternal, forged in courage, blood, and unbreakable spirit, proof that even against impossible odds, life, ingenuity, and hope prevail. The galaxy had witnessed humanity's defiance, and humanity, for the first time in full measure, had shown the universe what it truly meant to be unbroken.